So with that being said, the NFL season is about to begin, and I have said before that I do like Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. I do like um, the fact that Andrew Jackson had the key battle of New Orleans that ended the War of 1812. And Lamar Jackson would go to New Orleans. So that was kind of my theory going back years, 3 or 4 years, talking about Super Bowl 59. And what I do like about, and I understand why people say that Lamar Jackson is risky. I mean, he hasn't done well in the playoffs, so I completely understand that it is a risk to go with Lamar Jackson to win the Super Bowl. So um, they're very valid points. Um, is Lamar Jackson carried by the Baltimore Ravens defense? I feel, though, there will be times where it is Lamar carrying the Baltimore Ravens. Certainly, the Ravens are more of a dangerous team when they have a outstanding running back now, Derrick Henry. Let's not forget about him. It's hard to bring down Henry, and you're all tired because Henry's uh, when the Ravens have the lead, Henry's just picking up first downs, and you can't assume he's going to get the ball because with the read option, Lamar can decide to take it himself instead of deferring it to King Henry. So Baltimore will be a very tough team to beat next year. I don't expect them to beat Kansas City week one, by the way. Um, Certainly, the past two Super Bowl winners, nobody expected the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl the last couple of years. Um, Everybody liked Buffalo winning the AFC for Super Bowl 57, and last year people liked the Ravens to win the conference. So let's say um, even if the it doesn't matter if the Ravens start out slow. I mean, I just think that if the Chiefs start 2-0, then they're absolutely cooked. They're absolutely fried. It will all depend on what happens in the Bengals Chiefs game. So I think it's good news for the Chiefs three-peat if they lose against Cincinnati or Baltimore. But it's going to be very bad news for a Chiefs three-peat if they do go 2-0 in the first couple games, because then the narrative will just be that Kansas City's going to go unopposed and they're just going to trounce everybody en route to the Super Bowl. That's going to be the narrative if they do start 2-0. And I could care less how many points Baltimore loses by. And it didn't matter how weak the Chiefs receivers looked last year. They still found a way to catch the ball once January came. It didn't matter. I think they only completed one pass, the Raiders, when they beat the Chiefs on Christmas. So none of these things matter. Certainly, Baltimore has to have that underdog narrative in order to be the champion. They absolutely will have no chance of getting the number one seed. The number one seed, well, my number one seed is probably Kansas City. If I do think they have a great shot of starting 2-0, then and they got the tiebreakers over Baltimore and Cincinnati, and I'm not sure how the Chargers have done in the draft. The Chargers got rid of some key productive old veterans. This is going to be a year where the Chargers will be competitive, but their eyes are on the future for what they're going to do. Well, the Lions will have a chance because I have them winning the NFC. So if you're in the Super Bowl, you're going to have a chance of winning no matter what. But if it is Baltimore and Detroit, and okay, let's get rid of the Patreon grifters. Don't mention any Patreon grifters on here. So, referring, soliciting for Patreons, that's not allowed. That's not allowed around here. No soliciting over here. Thank you. They just keep it on the subject. You know, and the Ravens had to throw the AFC title game last year because I think Len Dawson's number 16. The Ravens had a total of 16 carries. So it's like, why do the Ravens have 16 carries? If your strength is what you do on the ground, it's like if the game wasn't rigged, then the Ravens easily get 20, 25, 30. How many amount of carries you need to wear down the defense? Only 16 carries, only an average of 4 carries per quarter. So the Ravens absolutely threw the AFC title game. The Ravens probably had the team to win, but the NFL told them, hey, you have to lose because Patrick Mahomes has to start out with 3 Super Bowls like Tom Brady did during the early part of his career. And we want the free publicity. We want the young girls watching Taylor Swift on Super Bowl Sunday. So you guys were bad for business, but maybe we make the dumpsters happy. I think they'll make the dumpsters happy for next season. Sure, they're going to also lose the election, but I think they'll give the dumpsters to the NFL champion. I think Dump loses the election, but then they're going to allow the dumpsters to enjoy the playoffs when Kansas City goes out. So I absolutely do think that they'll give the dumpsters something within the next 6 months. They're going to give them no Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. So the NFL is going to reward the Ravens for taking a dive to help out with the overall entity. Because if the dads who know nothing about football but their daughter likes Taylor Swift, then basically people who ordinarily would not have watched the Super Bowl watched the Super Bowl last year. So the Ravens losing was good for business, and I think it's a good theory that the NFL can reward the Ravens in some way if they took a dive so Kansas City could generate the publicity and the ratings all the way through to the very end, producing the happy ending for Swift and Kelsey and hooking a new generation of female football watchers. It all began with Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift. This might as well be reality TV at this point. Again, when we have the black president, history will repeat itself. Barack Obama won the 2008 election to be the first black president. CC Sabathia had a huge second half when he got traded to the Brewers. Then CC Sabathia was the top ace pitcher of the New York Yankees. Obama's first year in office, CC Sabathia, the black ace pitcher of the Yankees, Big Mac Sabathia. Big Mac Sabathia won the World Series. The youngest coach to win the Super Bowl, Mike Tomlin, he was black. He won the Super Bowl right after Obama defeated John McCain from Arizona. Obama was inaugurated then. Then Pittsburgh defeated Arizona in that Super Bowl. So, and who's the top black slugger in the game? Aaron Judge. So the Yankees are going to dominate because Aaron Judge, his main racial identity is black. Even though he's half white, his predominant identity is black, like Kamala. So I do like the Yankees to win with Aaron Judge right before Kamala Harris wins the election. So there's going to be an election angle with New Yorkers. It's a double win. The Yankees win the World Series, and then fuck Trump, he's gone for good. Trump lost again. Fuck Trump. Because New York, they knew he's a con man. New Yorkers, they knew he was a con man going back decades. So that's why New York hates him so much, because nobody knows Donald Trump better than the people who know him best from his hometown. And it didn't matter about the Cubs winning the World Series and Hillary born at Illinois. She still ended up losing the election. So the same thing is going to happen in reverse, where Trump is from New York, but he ends up losing the election, even though he likes winning. So he's definitely not Mets. He's New York Yankees. Donald Trump would be his favorite team. So that outcome is going to work in reverse. And with Kamala Harris, the first win of the season for the Ravens is going to be against the Raiders. The Raiders are from Oakland. Kamala Harris is born at Oakland. So the Ravens' first win of the year is going to occur at home against the Raiders. because it's tied into Kamala Harris being born at Oakland because the Raiders originated from Oakland. And Lamar is going to be 6-4 in the playoffs when he wins because the Civil Rights Act was in 1964, which is also Kamala Harris's birth year. So again, I think the NFL is going to reward the Ravens for taking a dive on their home field to allow the NFL to monetize and take advantage of the free Taylor Swift publicity. And I feel that they were certainly awarded with the signing of Derrick Henry in the offseason. And he is going to have a huge. I don't know what their plans are to use Derrick Henry, but they're all in on the title. John Harbaugh, he called Lamar the greatest quarterback ever. Certainly can be the greatest quarterback ever. Lamar Jackson said, I want to be a champion. And Joe Flacco, he didn't say, I want to be a champion in 2012, in April of 2012. But Joe Flacco did say, I am elite. I'm the best quarterback. This was April 2012. The Ravens went on to beat the 49ers in 2013 in February. Kamala's from San Francisco. Now, the 49ers connection is the fact that the Ravens' last Super Bowl appearance occurred against the 49ers. So that's kind of how I looked at Kamala and the overall equation as far as her time as San Francisco Attorney General is concerned. But there is going to be election riddles, and there will be riddles with Andrew Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans and Lamar Jackson leading the troops to victory. Maybe the 3 Lions of England losing the Euro final, then the Lions maybe lose the next Super Bowl. That's probably going to be a reach, but I think we should stick with the election angle. We should stick with, and if the Yankees win the World Series, then this is only going to support the election angle hypothesis. 2016 with Hillary in Chicago and losing the election, that's going to be a very good one. I think, the manufacturing states of the Midwest were hurt, and same thing with Pittsburgh, where the steel industry was devastated after the Great Recession of 2008. And I think about 2012 being an election year. I mean, the Ravens won after Obama won re-election. I'd certainly see the Lions winning the AFC. That's the top bet of the season. But now with Kamala Harris in the picture, I think it's becoming more clear. And it just makes sense because people can say, oh, we know Kansas City would repeat, but people weren't betting their money on Kansas City the last couple of years, were they? They were not. So people weren't predicting the Chiefs to win the last 2 years. Buffalo was the favorite, and everybody had the Bengals winning the AFC title over Kansas City. And the TV guys were saying the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl. And then last year, everybody 70%, 80%, 75%, whatever percent of people said that it was going to be the 49ers against the Ravens, but then none of that happened. So if the Chiefs start 2-0, everyone thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, period. Even most people thought Buffalo was going to beat the Chiefs. These are just the cold, hard facts. If the Chiefs win the number 1 seed this year, and everyone's going to say, oh, 3-peat, it's over. He beat Burrow, he beat Lamar. That's certainly setting the tone for what's going to go down in the postseason. They are going to let Josh Allen win, but it's not going to happen until after the Bills move into their new stadium. So you got to wait until the latter part of the decade. I mean, Peyton Manning, he got drafted in what year? 1998? Okay, it took 9 years to win. With Josh Allen, 2017, and 10, 11 years. It has been done before where a quarterback, but then only a Hall of Famer can do this. And I think Josh Allen's going to go on the Hall of Fame trajectory. I can't see Buffalo and Kansas City again in the playoffs. I could see Lamar Jackson in Baltimore getting revenge against the Bills. Yeah, because Bills, they beat the Ravens in 2021. Then it was Chiefs over Bills in that AFC title. So I can see Baltimore revenge over Buffalo. Oh, Josh Allen's a reigning MVP, and Josh Allen, he's not going up against Kansas City. The Ravens will lose. I I don't know about the players that left the Bills. There's a lot of guys that departed the Bills. Maybe it had to be done to get younger on defense. But how are these departures going to affect the Bills' defense? That's something we have to look out for. But I like the Dolphins to win the division. It is going to come. The streak is going to come to an end. But then maybe they have to force out McDermott, and whichever coach out there may be coordinated, maybe chosen to be the guy. You have to sacrifice something at some point. Buffalo have to sacrifice their head coach. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, he's getting used to a new offense. He's getting used to Lamar. So these are things that will help Kansas City in opening week. I have no idea what Baltimore's. And the tight end is going to be healthy throughout the whole season. I mean, Mark Andrews is a key contributor, so he was out, he was injured, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's going to help come playoff time. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the playoffs, yes. He'll beat San Francisco opening week. It's the Bay Area, and Robert Saleh is returning to San Francisco. So you have Super Bowl hangover. I think my Cards have a chance at the division. They're not going to make no NFC championship game or anything like that, but I certainly think a Super Bowl hangover is going to can help the Cardinals win the division. When I'm looking at numerology, I'm looking at the coach who's an 8 life path. It's been 8 seasons without the division for the Cardinals. So Kyler Murray is going to be MVP candidate this year. He's going to be a candidate this year with Marvin Harrison. And don't forget the top 5 running back of James Conner. So even though Cardinals going to lose against Buffalo, I certainly think they're going to win games in the division. Cardinals and the Bears are going to be teams that will compete for a playoff spot. I think Cardinals over Chicago right now. When you look at Trey McBride was playing like a Pro Bowl tight end, a Pro Bowl tight end, a Pro Bowl running back, and when he's healthy. So Cardinals going to be a surprise next year. Cowboys going to miss the playoffs because he's a lame duck, and the defense was terrible. And the Cowboys are soft. They can't stop the run. The Cowboys will miss the playoffs. I think I'll go Houston for the division. I'll go Dolphins for the division. Buffalo and the runner-up of the NFC North, Baltimore, is going to be a wild card. May as well assume Buffalo going to be a wild card team. Who knows if it's a reset year for Buffalo? It's certainly possible. And they started like 5-5 or something, so that's certainly possible. And 9 straight AFC West titles. Andy Reid's 9 life path, 9th repeat NFL history, beating the Niners. That was such an easy call for the Super Bowl last year. So 9 straight division titles for Kansas City. NFC Central, just Ford Field, not many playoff games. Owners, finance invested in a stadium that didn't see any playoff football until 2 decades later. But I think that home advantage for the Detroit Lions, I got to go Lions to win the division. If the Lions lose the Super Bowl, Lions will probably have a down year, and the Packers will win the division during the 2025 season. If the Lions lose the Super Bowl, they're probably going to miss the playoffs the following year. The Lions, Arizona, Week 3. That's going to be interesting. But Aaron Judge, Lamar Jackson, include Patrick Mahomes in the picture, the NFL, and the Major League Baseball they're going to tie into Kamala's election. It just Donald Trump doesn't have a chance at this point. He embarrassed himself in the conference with the black journalist. she turned what? And she smelled black. What? Everyone was cracking in the crowd. What was he say? How can you turn black? Maybe you can turn orange. She didn't turn black. She was black from birth. She joined a black sorority, Kamala Harris. She's always identified as black. So you got to connect it to Aaron Judge's blackness, Lamar Jackson's blackness. Female owner of the Lions, too, don't forget. Female president, female owner. Norma Hunt was winning titles, but now I think female owners got to be in there on the NFC side. I think 99 months after his Major League Baseball debut, Judge will win the World Series. He will. Yankees, Phillies for now. I mean, they just swept the Phillies, so they swept them at their home turf too. So is that out of the equation? Although I like the Japan Camacho 42 and Yankees Dodgers for next year. I mean, maybe you got to slaughter the public and they make it back next year. I don't know. That's just my theory as far as the exact matchup for the World Series is concerned. Harris has clinched the delegate votes. How's that going to be the relation from today to all the key dates? Birthday, electoral college day, actual election day, and inauguration. So I guess she wrapped up the delegates today.
In this case, they wanted to be proactively organized and also stable.
Crowned the first female president. She's got the delegates on the second day of the 8th month. And today is also the first game of Chisholm at the Bronx on a day of 2-8. And who knows if Judge has a 2 home run game on a day of 2-8. He could have his 41st home run tonight, and this is the year of the 41st World Series. So I certainly can't wait until first pitch for the Yankees. I'm going to watch that because I don't watch baseball till July, August, except when it's on national TV. And the Major League Baseball package, it's $34 for the last 2 months. That's such a bargain. You're only paying $34 for access to every game except your local game gets blacked out. So that's a big deal. $34 to watch any baseball with the MLB TV subscription last 2 months. So definitely look into that. And basically, I'll be watching a lot of Yankee baseball during the last couple of months and anything else that's on too, because it's not just the Yanks. And when I'm doing baseball, I like looking at teams that are hot, that are slumping, because that's the nature of the game. Is that it's very streaky. Like Shapiro's ready to pick; he's going to be the pick. I think her campaign. I think her first stop is Pennsylvania, so Josh Shapiro's going to be the pick. Who he has? How many RBIs? He's got 28 RBIs. Anthony Rizzo. And he's about to come back. So, yeah, there's a lot of 28s there. He missed 28 games. So, yeah, there's that. I think Garrett Cole's going to shock the world. There's no starting pitcher, no reliever. Yankees they haven't done anything. Well, what the Yankees are going to do as Clay Schmidt comes back. So the starting pitching already is going to be healthier. Ian Hamilton's going to be back. Efros and Trevino, maybe. But Yankees have got reinforcements on the way. Now, he's not winning World Series MVP, but maybe the last out of the World Series will be a strikeout. Because he is number 28. He is a catcher. So what if the last out of the World Series is a strikeout? Number 28 catches it. It probably will be a strikeout. Number 28 is going to catch it. Last out of the World Series is going to be a strikeout. That's my theory. He won't be MVP because Greg Jorginho will be MVP because when he signed that huge, gigantic contract, this guy is going to be the facilitator. He's going to drive the team in the postseason. Austin Wells, he will post the final out with the strikeout. The ball will land in his mitt. Number 28 has caught it. It was a strikeout, and the Yankees win the World Series.